The last open source library that we will discuss in this section is called Feature Engine. So Feature Engine is an open source Python library that I created originally to accompany this course, but now has gained a lot of popularity. It contains transformers to perform feature engineering methods and also feature selection methods. And this is perhaps the library that contains the widest collections of methods to perform feature transformation and selection. Some of the advantages of Feature Engine is that it allows us to implement specific transformations to specific feature groups. So we can modify some features with the mean and some features with the median very easily. We don't need additional classes like the column transformer to slice the data. Feature Engine also preserves the fit and transform functionality of Scikit-learn. So with fit, the transformers will learn the parameters from the dataset, for example, the mean or the medians. And with transform, it will retrieve those parameters to transform the train set, the test set, and all the data that we want to transform with these transformers. Another advantage of Feature Engine is that by default, it takes in data frames and it returns data frames. So it is very easy with Feature Engine to do first data analysis and also later on to deploy the models utilizing Feature Engine. Something else that Feature Engine offers out of the box is that it automatically recognizes numerical and categorical variables and also datetime variables. So we will not unintentionally perform mode imputation to numerical variables, and we will also not add numbers as arbitrary values to categorical variables. If you want to know more about Feature Engine, it has a dedicated documentation, and you can also find it in GitHub. To install Feature Engine is very easy. We just do pip install Feature Engine, or if you're using Conda, you can do conda install c conda forge Feature Engine. Now, I said that one of the main advantages of Feature Engine is that it allows us to apply specific feature engineering methods to a specific subset of features. So for example, we have here the MeanMedianImputer from Feature Engine. We specify in the imputation method that we want to modify the variables with the mean, and then every Feature Engine transformer will have the parameter variables where we can pass the variables that we want to modify, in this case with the mean. If we leave this parameter to none, which is the default value, the mean and median imputer will impute all the numerical variables by default. Then with fit, we learned the mean for the variables that we indicated here, and we can see the learn parameters in the imputer dictionary attribute that is generated after fit. Here, for example, we see for this variable we have this mean value, and for this other variable we have this other mean value. And with transform, we then modify the variables. So the workflow for Feature Engine is very similar to that from Scikit-learn. We will first instantiate the transformer, then fit the transformer to the train set, and then with transform, we modify the train set, the test set, and also all future data. So to perform, for example, mean imputation, we will use the MeanMedianImputer. In the imputation method, we highlight mean, and then in the variables parameter, we pass in a list the variables that we want to impute with the mean. With fit, the transformer will learn the mean values of income and age, and then with transform, it will only modify income and age in the data frames that we passed to the method. If instead we want to perform median imputation, the procedure is identical, we just need to specify median in the imputation method. To perform imputation with an arbitrary number, we need a separate class, the ArbitraryNumberImputer, that will take the arbitrary number to use to modify all the variables, and then the variables that we want to modify in a list. This way, income and age will be imputed with 99. We apply the methods fit and transform as usual. But with the ArbitraryNumberImputer, we can also impute different variables with different values, just like with pandas fill and a. What we need to do in this case is to pass the dictionary with the values to use for the imputation into the imputed parameter. And then we apply fit and transform as normal. There is a separate transformer to impute categorical variables, which is called the categorical imputer. In the imputation method, we can specify frequent to impute with the most frequent category, and then in variables we specify the variables to modify, in this case color and make. With fit, the transformer will take the most frequent category of color and make, and with transform it will use those values to modify color and make in the train set and then in the test set. If instead we want to modify with the specific string, the imputation method should be missing, which is the default method for this transformer. And then in the field value, we can pass missing, other, or any string that we want to use for the imputation. And then we specify yet again the variables that we want to modify. If here we pass a no list, it will impute all the categorical variables in the dataset by default. So Feature Engine has some advantages. Similarly to the simple imputer, it learns the parameters to use in the imputation with the fit method, and it stores it as part of its attributes. And it can also impute feature groups without the need to add additional transformers or to slice the dataset beforehand. And another thing that is very valuable is that it retains the original variable names and the data frame order. So when we use Feature Engine, the same order and names that appear in the dataset that was used as input will be the ones that appear in the dataset that is used as output. There are some disadvantages if you want. With Feature Engine, to perform different imputation methods, we need to use different classes, so we need to be aware that there are different transformers, and that we need to learn how to use or import yet another Python library when we carry on our projects. So this is it for introducing imputation with Feature Engine. In the next videos, we will see Feature Engine in action. See you there.